Picture yourself going to the grocery store and buying things off your common grocery list. If you're like me, you would pick up things like apple, squash, rice, and cereal. All of these seem healthy and safe, right? Wrong. All of these and most other foods you buy at the grocery store have been in some way genetically modified. Companies have found a way to speed up evolution by thousands of years, pumping the food that you eat every day full of DNA from other plants and animals. Doesn't sound that bad, does it? Well, that's why I'm here today to explain to you why genetically modified foods are becoming a growing problem and what could happen if we continue to consume them. Here is a brief video of GMOs.
It's the most dangerous thing facing human beings in our generation.
GMO, genetically modified organisms. They take genes from one species and force it into the DNA of other species.
We have hundreds of millions of acres of genetically modified crops that have been planted in the United States, and yet most people are not aware.
I found out that our food supply is genetically modified. And guess what? The food that my son ate on August 25th, 2009 was raw corn. The corn that almost killed him.
The process of insertion plus cloning creates massive collateral damage. There can be hundreds or thousands of mutations up and down the DNA.
Things we're seeing today aren't normal.
Illnesses that weren't epidemic before are now epidemic.
We have gone from food in its whole food form to food undergoing a scientific experiment.
The havoc that it will cause will be across the entire spectrum of disease.
What the problem was is I guess he said that they weren't able to process the food correctly and they would bloat up and die from it.
They can put it on the market without telling the FDA or to consumers.
It became clear that the FDA had been lying repeatedly since 1992.
It's not just an agriculture issue, it's not just a food industry issue, it's a never living creature issue.
And if we don't do anything, within a decade, every single major crop with any significant market size is going to be genetically modified, and we're not going to know it.
The world can get rid of it. The world should get rid of it. The sooner the better. Now.
We look at what they're eating and we take out the genetically modified foods and the industry foods and they all get better.
So you're probably wondering, what are genetically modified foods? Genetically modified organisms are a result of a laboratory process where genes from DNA of these species are extracted and artificially forced into genes of an unrelated plant or animal. GMOs were first introduced into the U.S. in 1990. Engineers are analyzing and manipulating food that we eat on a daily basis. These changes can make their own insecticide or make them resistant to chemical herbicides that kill other plants. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, 93% of soybeans, 78% of cotton, and 70% of all corn are genetically modified to be herbicide tolerant and insect resistant. Despite warnings of health dangers from its own scientists, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration decided to allow genetically modified foods on the market without labeling and without safety testing. We are the only country that does not require GMO labeling. Other countries like Europe, Australia, Japan, and the UK, and 2 other dozen countries have significant restrictions on GMO products. Let's take a look at the impact that GMOs have on farms and landscape. Genetically modified crops are harming and destroying many efforts to grow organically in the United States. Pollen from these GMO crops are contaminating and destroying those that are grown organically every day. An organic farmer from Nebraska, David Vetter, said he's been testing his corn for a new pollution because all of the farmers around him are growing genetically modified corn. Just recently, his corn was tested positive for genetic contamination, and now most of his crop is sitting in the storage on the farm. Since the GMO contamination, his revenue has dropped 40%. Instead of selling his crop for $4 a bushel, he has to sell his crop on the open market for $1.67. Many of these farmers have to take precautions now to protect their crop. The Agricultural Department recommends organic farmers to leave a buffer zone between their crops and neighboring farms, but this has been proved to be expensive and ineffective. Because of the contamination, it is practically impossible to stop transgenic seeds from entering into organic crops. According to the Department of Agriculture, crops would not necessarily lose their organic status if they found to have transgenic content. What does that mean to us? Well, if you shop at a place like Whole Foods, you're spending extra money on groceries because you're buying organic. And since the USDA doesn't change their status, you might not actually be getting organic foods. So let's see how it affects us as humans. The ingestion of GMOs has proven to take a toll on our health as humans based on scientific animal research. Based on animal research with genetically modified foods, the American Academy of Environmental Medicine says that there are serious health risks associated with eating genetically modified foods. Some of these including infertility, immune system problems, accelerating aging, which we all don't need, disruption of insulin and cholesterol regulation, gastrointestinal problems, and even organ damage. These scientifically altered foods are being put on our shelves for people to purchase, thinking that they're getting a simple fruit and vegetable when really they're purchasing a health problem. According to the Better Nutrition, scientific research and reports from all over the world have linked GM foods to thousands of sick and sterile dead livestock and to thousands of toxic and allergic reactions in humans. With all this research, we should recognize the fact that these modifications not only affect our immediate health, but also our long-term health and maybe even our offspring's health. So isn't the choice easy? Should we say no to GMO? Our bodies are our temple, and knowing what we are ingesting is our human right. That's why we need to raise awareness of GMOs nationwide. Educate yourself and others on how to avoid these products. It may be too late if we wait around for the government to regulate proper labeling and hopefully the elimination of GMOs.